Hey there, this devlog will probably be a shorter one because there was a lot of going on the last month, like a festival, then Gamescom, and I did some holidays, so yeah, it was all over the place. Gamescom was pretty neat, and I had a lot of fun showing off Closer the Distance, which is a game I worked on before Calamity. It was especially really nice to see that people liked the game and that it worked. And yeah, they understood how to play the game. This was pretty good to see. So yeah, but now back to Calamity. The last month I mainly added many new 3D models to the game, like more foliage to have a bigger variety of plants, some weapon racks. The cool thing with these is I can combine these with a random loot spawner, so they can be used to randomly spawn in loot at points of interest if you are entering a map. I finally made some chests where the player can store their well-earned loot, some cages in different varieties and some versions of broken house parts. These will be used in this area right here, where I want to build a destroyed town, a bit like the undead settlement from Dark Souls 3. After that I played around with the Niagara system for some loot effects. Here's how they turned out. It's okay, but I personally think as they are now, they don't really fit the style of the game I'm going for. So I'm going to play around some more with Niagara to really get something I like. To be honest though, it kind of feels nice to see glowing things drop from enemies. With the help of Thomas from Backpack Games, I added a material or shader that lets me combine up to 4 textures in one material and change the color of them independently by splitting up the texture in 4 different parts. This is huge because I can crack down on draw calls that way. Because my textures are very small, for example most of them are using 128 by 128 pixels, that means I can fit 4 textures in one 256 by 256 pixel texture, which is still super small. So if a 3D model has 4 materials, I can crack that down to just 1 material, which means I'm using only 1 draw call instead of 4. After that I added some new ground textures to have a bigger variety to choose from for the different areas, and at the same time I fixed some problems in my landscape material. I also fixed a lot of the buggy TGA textures which I mentioned last time. This took a bit of time and I guess there are still some old ones in the game, but yeah, I'll find them eventually. At last I did a bit of level design, especially resculpting parts of the map to be more organic. This will also be an ongoing process. I have to admit that I kind of neglected level design a bit because I always have the feeling that I don't have enough assets to really fill in the blanks in the world. So, announcement time. I decided that I will try to stream a bit of level design over on Twitch at least 1 day a week. The first stream will be on the 6th of October. I will post a detailed time schedule on my Twitch profile. You can find a link to my Twitch profile somewhere here on the screen or down below in the description. And yeah, the streams will kind of be chill hangout streams where I do a bit of level design. We are listening to some game soundtracks, and yeah, I will answer some game development questions, I guess, if there are any. So yeah, at least that's what I envision the streams to be. And yeah, if this sounds like something you would like to see, then join me on the what is it, Friday? Yeah, on Friday the 6th of October. Next up I want to talk a bit about difficulty scaling and how I want to approach that in Calamity. I thought a lot about that because I recently played a lot of Diablo 4 again, and I'm not a big fan of level scaling, and Diablo in some cases felt pretty dull to me, and after really thinking about why that is, I finally figured that out. So, for example, I was ripping everything to shreds. Every enemy on the map was too weak to pose a challenge, because they got scaled on my level. And the only way to get a challenge was to run higher tier dungeons, which get repetitive quite fast. I had completed the story and the seasonal content, and the main part of getting stronger or better items seemed kind of pointless because I was killing everything regardless and there was no goal to strive for. So I had the feeling that I have seen everything the game has to offer, at least in terms of gameplay. The problem that can arise with level and difficulty scaling is that you don't really have the feeling of getting stronger. To achieve the feeling of getting stronger, you kind of need to have obstacles to overcome, or in other words, enemies to measure your strengths on. In my opinion, this is especially important in games that are centered around loot. Every piece of loot is only worth as much as its effectiveness compared to the challenge, in this case the enemy, you are facing. I don't want to say that level scaling is a bad design choice, because it definitely isn't. For example, it allows you to play together with people of different levels and you can level up everywhere you want. But if you want an experience where you truly feel that you are getting stronger, this design choice, in my opinion, does not hold up. I'm not saying that Diablo 4 is a bad game, it's a good game in fact, and I had a lot of fun playing it. It just has a different design philosophy than some more challenging games. Diablo 4 wants you to just kill everything and loot to your heart's content, which is totally fine. The challenge of getting stronger and overcoming the struggle to do so is not the core design principle of the game. Thinking about this and formulating it like this helped me immensely to understand the problem that I personally have with level scaling in games and to figure out how I want to tackle that problem in Calamity. So I decided I will make it like I mentioned in the last devlog. I'll change the difficulty of the maps after you defeat one of the bosses, but it will only change the difficulty of the lower level mobs, so the players can also farm items in the older regions, so that these regions aren't useless if you are stronger. The higher level regions will remain the same until you beat the corresponding boss in it. I think doing it like this with an eye on how the loot system of Calamity works makes the loot you receive more relevant and gives it more value. And with the higher level areas, it always will retain a sense of progression, of getting stronger and simply having a goal. Yeah, that's it for now, and yeah, see you in the next devlog. Gameplay soundtracks, game soundtracks.
Impressive.
God damn it.